Hello beautiful people, welcome back or welcome to my channel. This week I'm going to be reading some new-ish releases, not to only see if they're worth it, especially if they have gotten some hype behind them, but also to find some possibly new loved books, maybe some 5 stars. And I also want to read a couple of maybe new to me authors this week. That would be really fun. And I love watching people like give their opinions on new releases so that I know if they're worth it to buy or not. So I'm hoping that this video can be that for you guys. The first book we're going to be reading for this week is By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult, which actually came out today. I did pre-order it on my Kindle, so it is ready to read. It is a historical fiction. We're gonna get right into reading that. I'm gonna be reading it on my Kindle, so hopefully this one doesn't take me too long. It is, I think, 520 pages or so. I really haven't read anything this month so far, so it's a little daunting to go right into a over 500 page book, especially a historical fiction, but we will do it because I'm very excited and I've been wanting to film a reading vlog for a minute now, so let's just get into reading. I just finished By Any Other Name by Jodi Picoult, and I'm just gonna say this book was beautiful, which I feel like that is the only word that I can use to describe this book is beautiful. I feel like this book needs a spotlight. It did just come out. I mean, as this video is going to be posted, it will have been out for a couple weeks, but this book just came out, but I haven't seen anybody talk about it yet, and I feel like people need to talk about it. I'm going to say that this book was 5 stars. I really haven't gotten into the historical fiction genre. I do own a couple historical fiction books that I'm hoping to read soon. I mean, I don't know when really, but I hope eventually. But this book definitely makes me want to like jump into historical fiction like as soon as possible. In this book, you're following 2 different women in 2 different time periods. So you're following Amelia in the 16th to 17th century, and you're following Melina in the 21st century. And Amelia Basana was actually the first ever published woman poet, which is very cool. This book does have some factual standing behind it. There is things that are truthful to this book, and it's honestly just a really cool way to read about history, though of course there is fiction to this book as it is a historical fiction, but there is some things taken from real life into this book which I think are really cool, and I would definitely recommend it if anybody is looking to get into historical fiction. I will say that this book is absolutely heartbreaking in the best way. There is a lot of parts about this book that hurt to read, but of course Amelia had a lot of hardships where she was forced into being a courtesan at a very young age. I think she was 12 or 13 when she became a courtesan for a man probably like 3 times her, 3 times her age. There are a lot of real things about this book that I really enjoyed that have nothing to do with historical facts, and just how Jodi Picoult writes about women's hardships and growing as you age in both maturity and understanding about things that you went through in life and learning from them and just growing as a person. And I think that this book is really cool. I also really liked the ending of this book, and again it was pretty heartbreaking, but I do feel like the ending fit perfectly with this book. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but I do think that this book is definitely worth the read, though of course there is some things in this book, again like I was saying, are hard to read, but it was worth it to read the rest of the book because you're reading about things that women went through in the 16th and 17th century, and those things can be really hard to read, and you have to understand that these things were real and things that did happen in those time periods. So it's just kind of, it's honestly a little unbelievable that these things, you know, happen and still are happening in areas of the world, and so those things can be a little hard to read, but I will say that overall this book was absolutely amazing. I loved it, and I would like to pick up more of Jodi Picoult's work, but I'm really attached to this historical fiction vibe, and I'm not sure if any of her other novels are historical fiction or not, but again, 5 stars, would recommend. And so we're going to get into our second book of this video, which again is an author I've never read before, which is kind of like a big point of this video, is I'm trying to read new releases of authors I've never heard of, books I've never heard of before, and kind of see if I can find new authors to get obsessed with. But just like Jodi Picoult, I never read any of her other works before. I've never read any of Kelly Collins' work before, and we're reading Timber Ridge by Kelly Collins, which is a Kindle Unlimited book, and I kind of chose a Kindle Unlimited book on purpose because I really need to use my Kindle Unlimited. I'm trying to read at least a couple books a month on this, which August I read 2 books the entire month, so I'm definitely slacking. But this is just a romance novel. It did come out on August 15th, just like By Any Other Name. It is also very new. In this book, we're going to be following Timber, who accepted a job offer for like a summer school teacher in the middle of nowhere in Alaska because she needs a getaway from her home in Arizona, which is a very big difference going from Arizona to Alaska. I like that temperature difference alone is very shocking. And this is a single dad romance, small town romance, you could say, because it's in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, so there's really not much of a town at all. So we're gonna get into reading this one, and I will chat with you guys later.
Honey, I got what you want. Give me all of your love, 'cause it's burning hot. It's what you do to me, babe, I can guarantee.
I just wanted to give you guys a little update while I'm reading, because I feel like I always forget to tell you guys about the books that I'm reading in the middle of them, like what my thoughts are as I'm reading, because most of the time when I'm reading, I tend to read like the entire book in a sitting or two, and the camera is the last thing on my mind. But I wanted to share, since I was filming some b-roll for you guys, I thought it'd be the perfect time to, talk about the book. Honestly, I'm pretty far into the book, so I'm getting closer to the end. It's about a 350-page book, and I'm probably going to finish it as I'm sitting here today. The book is not bad. It's cutesy. It does have some more heartbreaking parts where the couple is trying to like navigate through like obstacles that are thrown at them, just like in real life relationships. And I think that it is a really fast-paced read. I feel like a lot of the book feels a little rushed. I feel like the dialogue is very reminiscent of like a Wattpad book, and not to say that in a bad way. I used to absolutely devour Wattpad books, like one a night, like every single day. Like I was eating them up. So it's not a bad way. After reading Jodi Picoult's book, it is a stark contrast to the writing style of Jodi Picoult to Kelly Collins, which is the author of Timber Ridge. I feel like a lot of the dialogue isn't necessarily natural. I feel like sometimes there are pieces where it feels a little robotic. So far, I mean, the characters are cute, and I think that their story is cute so far, but I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily attached to the characters, and that might just be a me thing. I mean, as far as I know, there are good reviews for this book so far, though it has only been a couple of weeks since it came out. But so far it's a really easy, fast-paced romance, so I'm probably gonna go finish it, and then I will chat with you guys once I'm done and give you guys my final rating. But I think I already know what the rating is gonna be, just going off of, the 250 pages that I've read so far. I have about 100 pages left, so I'm gonna go finish it, and I'll chat with you guys later, and then we will get on to our next book for this video. I'm currently getting ready for bed right now, so I apologize for the lighting, but I just wanted to update you guys and let you guys know that I did finish Timber Ridge. It was a cutesy love story. I think that there's also some like heartwarming parts that are, there's really like realistic parts to the relationship in it. And overall, I think it is like, if you have Kindle Unlimited, I think that it is a cutesy read. Like if you are looking for a romance to read, it definitely isn't one of like my top favorite romances, but I wouldn't say it was a bad book. The writing style is definitely different than Jodi Picoult's book, which I read before that, and I feel like it was a weird book to read right after reading a historical fiction. Timber Ridge is a very fast-paced, like cutesy romance you could read anytime, and I read it in like 2, maybe 3 sittings. It really did not take me that long. I don't think it's a bad book at all. I think I'm gonna land on a 3-star for Timber Ridge. So we're gonna be moving on to our next book, which is also going to be our last book for this video, because By Any Other Means took me most of this week to finish, and so this video is going a little bit over the time that I wanted to finish it in, and that book is going to be none other than Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I have talked to you guys about this book since it came out back in June, I believe. Yeah, I've been talking to you guys since this book was, probably since before it was coming out in June. It is taking me till now, which we're going to be, like, by the time this video is posted, it will be September. It took me a lot longer to read this book than I wanted, but I just keep putting other books in front of the ones that I actually want to read. I don't know if any of you guys do this, but when you're eating a meal, you eat the parts that you're not as excited for first, and then you eat the most exciting parts last. That is what I feel like I do with my reading. I save the books that I'm actually really excited for till months after they come out or months after I bought them. And I feel like it's the same thing with eating to reading. That seems like a really weird like analogy to use for reading, but let me know if you guys feel the same way, like you save the good books till later. That's probably just a me thing, but I don't know. Either way, we are reading Not in Love, and I'm really excited to get into another Ali Hazelwood STEM romance that is adult, because her last two novels were, one of them was adult, but neither of her last books were necessarily like, they were good, but they weren't like my favorite Ali Hazelwood books. And this one is reminiscent of some of her earlier works like Love on the Brain, Love Hypothesis, that kind of thing. And I know Love on the Brain is a lot of people's favorites. I don't know if that one's necessarily my favorite. I think Love Hypothesis is really just like, it hits hard every time, though I've only read it once. That is on my reread list actually. But either way, this book is about Rue and Eli, and Rue is a biotech engineer, and then Eli works for like a private equity company that is buying the company that Rue works for. And it's a whole big thing, and I have started it. We're into it, we're reading it, but that's why I am coming to you guys looking a little bit disheveled, because I realized that I needed to update you guys on this. So far, I feel like this is gonna be a really good book. I'm really hoping this is another 5-star for Ali Hazelwood, because it's been a minute since, or did I rate Bride 5 stars? I think I rated Bride 4.5 and Check and Mate 4 stars, but all of her adult STEM romances from before Check and Mate were 5 stars for me, and so I'm hoping this one is a 5-star. So I'm not going to talk too much about this book right now because it is late and I want to get to bed, so I'm going to go read for a little while, and then I will catch you guys probably in the morning to chat about this book, and I might just try and finish it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty about what this book's about until probably in the morning. I'll tell you guys more about it, but I want to get to bed and get a little bit of reading done before I fall asleep. So I will see you guys in the morning. I talked to you guys last night, which I read most of Not in Love last night, and I finished it this morning, so we did finish our third book for this video. I haven't posted a reading vlog in quite some time. I feel like it's been months since the last one I posted, but I can't remember, so I really want to get this out for you guys. So I'm only reading 3 books for this video, but I do have some other reading vlogs that I'm working on at the moment, so stay tuned for those. I think I'm going to be giving Not in Love 5 stars. This isn't my all-time favorite Ali Hazelwood book, and it's not like my all-time favorite romance, but I still think it deserves a 5-star because I really enjoyed the chemistry of the characters in this book. Though I think I mentioned this in my August hopefuls that people were saying that this book is like super steamy. If you're not into spice, this is not a romance book for you. And if you're somebody who likes to skip spice scenes, like I know a lot of people who skim past them, or people who just skip them altogether, this is not going to be a good book for you, because you're going to be skipping like 75-80% of the book. And I'm not somebody who thinks that like I don't always really need to read spicy books. I like closed door romance, I like wholesome books, but I do love Ali Hazelwood's work, so it's kind of like back and forth with me for that. And I'm also not somebody that thinks that spice should carry a book by any means. I think that that is the least important thing in a romance book. If you're talking about like dark romance specifically, it's a little bit different, but just like a cutesy little romance, it's really not necessary to have it as much as it is in this book. But I still really liked the characters, and I think I might have mentioned it last night, but I do see myself a lot in Rue, which is our main character. Though there are parts of her that I don't see in myself, there are like pieces of her personality and just how she acts that I see in myself. But this was super cute, and I'm really glad I got the special like shiny edition, because I really enjoy the independent bookstore inner art. So I'm gonna get myself a little bit more put together, and then I will come back to you guys with kind of a little overview of the week to end us off. So the first book that I read this week was Jodi Picoult's By Any Other Name, which again was a 5-star. Absolutely adored that book. I'm not going to go too much more into that book because I already talked your guys' ear off about it earlier this week. Again, would recommend. Really enjoyed that book. I haven't had a 5-star in a minute. I had one 5-star in July, and in August I only read 2 books and neither of them were 5 stars. So that's good. I mean, I've been waiting for another 5-star. Then the next book that I read was Timber Ridge, which was a very cutesy little romance. I read Timber Ridge in like 2 sittings. It took me no time whatsoever. I think I landed on a 3-star. If I didn't, that is what I'm landing on because I feel like it's a 3-star more than a 3.5. But I would still recommend it to somebody if they were looking for a book, especially like if you're traveling, maybe if you're like going on an airplane or in a car for a long time. If you are somebody who can read in cars, I feel like it is an easy read to pick up and you could read it like in one sitting. I've been really busy the last few weeks. If you guys watched my last weekly vlog that I posted on Sunday, I had 3 concerts in a week and I really didn't have a ton of time to read, which is why By Any Other Name took me so long, because I was gone for most of the week that I started the book, and so it took me a while to pick it back up. But again, if you were looking for something like that, I would recommend Timber Ridge. It's kind of like a filler book to me. I'm trying to read more of my physical TBR, as is every reader ever. We're all trying to get our physical TBR not to be so daunting. Sometimes you need like a little sweet treat in book form, like something new or off your Kindle Unlimited, like I did By Any Other Name when it came out. I pre-ordered it the day before it came out, then reading a Kindle Unlimited book, but I did also pick up a book off my physical TBR as well, so it was kind of like the best of both worlds. I do wish I would have been able to read another book in this video, especially one off of my physical TBR, but it's okay. It's fine. It happens to the best of us. So that book was cute, and it set me up well for my second 5-star of this video. I read 3 books and 2 of them were 5-star. That is amazing. Though I did just talk to you guys about this not that long ago. I feel like sometimes in romances, it's kind of hard to give you too much information without spoiling things, because when you're going into a romance, you already know who's going to be falling in love, and that already feels like it should be some kind of spoiler. Honestly, before I started this book, I did not read the back. Like, I read the back originally when it came out, but I didn't read it again going back into it. The synopsis tells a bit more about the like plot structural points that are going to happen that don't relate to the romance, and I feel like that just kind of gives away what's going to be happening in the book that doesn't have to do with romance. But again, I think I'm going to be landing on a 5-star for that one, just because I really did enjoy the story. I thought it was really, really cute. It is pretty amazing that we ended up with 2 5-star reads this week, and that is going to end us off for this week, I think. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I am really hoping to get back into posting more reading vlogs because I really enjoy doing them. It makes me read more. It makes me actually pick up the books that I want to read. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to do all the beautiful YouTube things like comment, subscribe, and show somebody some kindness today. And I will see you guys in the next video.